Hey guys, welcome back to another Gaming Memories video. Here we are taking a look at Air Combat that was released on the PlayStation back in 1995. This was actually one of the earlier titles that was released on the PlayStation at that time by Namco, pretty much in conjunction with the likes of other titles that they had released on the PlayStation, the likes of Tekken, Fighting Game and Ridge Racer. And I think that they actually did have a couple of others, so they were actually definitely at the forefront of releasing some very authentic and high quality games at that time, and very arcade style games. So there was definitely a lot of choices, because even when the PlayStation came out, even with the launch titles, a couple of weeks later there was loads of mainstream developers literally just bombarding the market with loads of high end titles. So by the Christmas of 1995 there was a serious selection of games on offer on the console for pretty much anyone to play, and there definitely was something there literally for everybody, which was quite incredible. My first experience with this game now was actually when I actually managed to first play the PlayStation. I actually have done a previous video on that. I made sure to drop a link down in the description into a two-part series where I broke down most of the games in those two videos. One game I did forget to mention though that was part of that lineup was actually this game here as well, but I completely forgot about it in the video, so I'll mention it here. I remember my mate Mark actually had this, and the first game I did ever play on the PlayStation was Shockwave Assault, and he actually had this game as well. And then Mark was really big into the likes of a sci-fi shooters, but he was big into like flight simulators and all that kind of stuff as well. I was very new to it. I never really played those type of games before, and at the time I wasn't as big into them because I didn't really understand them. And he was like, "Dude, you want to try this?" He says, "I actually really like this here." So I says, "Right, sure, I'll give it a go and see how I get on." I will admit, when I first played it, I didn't really like it that much because again, it was very different from what I had played. Like, I played Shockwave Assault, and graphically, I thought that was better and there was more going on in the environment. But then I played other games. I played like demos. I was playing like some racing games, Formula 1. I was playing Resident Evil, and that just completely just blew my socks off pretty much. So for me, that was kind of the pinnacle. So then when I went to go and play like the likes of this here, I was like, after 5 minutes, I'll be honest, I'll admit, I got bored. I was like, I just want to play Resident Evil again. So that was kind of what happened. And he was like, "Oh, should just give it a go, give it a go." So I did. I went and I sat and played it for a good half an hour, and I tried to figure it out, but I just couldn't get used to the controls. When I look back, I think it's because of the fact that I was new to 3D game, and I wasn't used to the concept of being able to move around in free time. I was used to always just playing like the 2D games. You just move left and right, up and down, and that was pretty much it. Whereas this here, you can move like in 360 degrees at any point in time, and you're trying to shoot stuff. So like, I couldn't even see what I was shooting, let alone what to actually do. So I don't know how many times I crashed the ship. So my mate was laughing at me, says, "Oh, you get the hang of it." But then after a while, I just got bored. I was like, "Dude, yeah, it's just definitely not my thing." So then he kind of sat and played and showed me what to do. So I just kind of sat and watched him, but I did enjoy it. But I was like, I says, "I'll get to it." I says, "But it'll take me a while to figure it out." But he was more into those type of games. But I will admit, as the years have gone on, I actually have found an inkling to play some of these games, and I actually have enjoyed some of them. Some of them I've actually owned and played on the likes of the PlayStation 3 and even the PlayStation 4, like more modern kind of titles, and I actually loved them. I thought they were really, really good. And you can clearly see where these games actually got their ideas from, the likes of these type of games here. So Air Combat actually, I think, had two or three games in the series, and then it was rebranded, I think, later on as Ace Combat. So it originally started life as Air Combat, originally on the PlayStation. So if you're into flight simulators, I'm sure like anyone who's played the PlayStation probably has actually had this game. This for people that do like these type of games, this would have been a popular choice back then. And like I said, now it wouldn't have been my cup of tea at that point in time, even though I do love the PlayStation. But there's certain games, I will admit, there was times I just could not get into them, no matter how much I tried. I just found them too difficult because I just wasn't used to them. It took me a while to really figure them out, so I kind of just stuck to the games that I knew I could get used to fairly quickly. And plus, I just loved the likes of racing games and stuff, and just like Destruction Derby and anything that you could shoot and just cause out and out carnage and mayhem. You could do it in this here, but it was definitely a lot more technical. You definitely had to really kind of know what you were doing. and to really be aware of your surroundings. And that's where I kind of just missed the mark on it. But even now, revisiting this game, I will admit it's still as tough as I remember. It was fiddly trying to remember how to control it. But I have to say, once I got the hang of it again, I was like, you know what, this actually, when I look back, I do remember it being actually a good game. And it is actually a good game. It's definitely from what I remember. It's still tough to figure out what to do for a while, but I played it for a good hour actually when I was recording this video, just to kind of get a feel for it again. And I have to say, the more I actually sat down to play it, the more I started to enjoy it again. Again, now they wouldn't be my first preference of games, but they are an enjoyable experience, and if you're into flight simulators at all, this would definitely be a good way to go. But again, this was part of the lineup of the original games I actually played on the PlayStation when I first played it back in the day. To be honest, actually, that was the thing that kind of blew my mind when I first played the computer for the first time. My mate had like so many games, like he had Resident Evil, he had Time Commando, he had this, he had Shockwave Assault, plus he had a ton of demos with loads of different types of games on them. And there was just something unique there for everybody. It's just like never before had I actually seen where you could actually have so many games or demos or so many options there of different types of games that would suit so many different people. It may not have all suited me, but there was definitely enough there to suit pretty much anybody. Like if there was a load of people in the room, like say if it was a games convention or whatever, there was something there pretty much for anyone. Whether you wanted to play a full game or whether you wanted to play a demo. Which that's another thing I will be getting to. I will be covering demos at a later point in the future, because I do think that they deserve a lot of love as well and they don't get enough attention, so I will be doing future videos on that. So make sure to keep an eye out for that as well. But going back to this game here, again, like when I did actually play it, because it was part of the lineup when I first got to play it. I will admit, it was at the time when I look back, it was probably my least favourite of the games that I had actually played. So it was, but then it was something that was totally just different to me. Like I just was not used to these type of games. I just didn't get it. I didn't understand the concept of it, and I just found it extremely difficult. And I couldn't even see what I was looking at either. Like I did not know what to do. So for me, it was just, I just got frustrated with it very, very quickly. But again, if you have patience with it, there is actually a really good game here. But like I said, once I revisited it, I realised how much of a good game it actually is, and I can see why it spawned on so many sequels. And even again on later consoles and later generations of games as well. So it is a popular franchise, and Namco back in the day were known for doing that. There was the likes of this series here, like again they were doing Tekken, they were just flat out with the Ridge Racer games. They were really knocking it out of the park with the likes of the games that they had on offer, especially on the 32-bit era and the PlayStation especially. They really had so many cool games. There were just a crazy amount of games that they were releasing at that time. And like I said, back with the early days of the PlayStation, there pretty much was a game there for everybody. You can guarantee a lot of people would have opened up the PlayStation to get it at Christmas, and there would have been at least a lot of people would have had this. They would have either had some of the other games I mentioned, but you can guarantee there was a pick of the bunch. There was definitely a game there within the library at that time. There was something there for everybody. So I definitely would imagine that a lot of people would have played this. Now it is a really good game, don't get me wrong. It may not have been my cup of tea at the time trying to figure it out, because there was other more games that I was more interested in, but that's not to say that other people would feel the same. Other people, I know myself, and even my mate Mark, he absolutely loved it because he was more into these type of things. He had more patience for them, let's just put it that way. I didn't at the time, and that was the only thing. I had patience for other games, but I found with this here, but I find with that with a lot of games as well. I don't get into them really first off. Some of the best games I've ever played are games that I've actually left laying on the shelf for 2 or 3 years, and then I suddenly take a notion to revisit them, and then I'm like wondering to myself, why did I not play this before? This is actually brilliant, you know. And some of them I've actually played a lot of hidden gems, games that I actually just never really paid much attention to at the start, and then when I go to revisit it again, I'm like, whoa, this game's actually brilliant. And I've had a lot of those experiences. Some of the best games, like I said, I've ever played have been in that sense. So I'd imagine a lot of this here would have been the same for a lot of people as well. So yeah, I highly recommend that if you're into these type of games, definitely feel free to check it out. So I'd love to know your thoughts on this game and what you thought of it back in the day. Share your experiences in the comments below. So if you have enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like. Also be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to be updated whenever I release future content, as I will be sharing more videos and examples of games like this here on the PlayStation and sharing my thoughts and experiences with everyone. So as always, make sure to keep playing those classic games and enjoying them, and keep those gaming memories alive.